For decades, the Philippines and Vietnam, they were never at the top of Washington's strategic list. Sure, they mattered, but the real focus was Japan, South Korea, and Australia. And now that's changing pretty fast, because in 2025, the balance of power in the Pacific is shifting, and the new front line against China has moved south. Hey, if you're done with the globalist bullshit and ready for straight talk, subscribe to America's Geopolitics. Now let's break it down. The geography that decides the future. The Philippines and Vietnam sit right on China's maritime doorstep. Control these waters, and you control the trade lifelines that feed China's economy. Lose them, and China's economic engine chokes. 80% of China's imported oil flows through the South China Sea. 60% of its export goods flow the same route. That's trillions of dollars moving across waters the Philippines and Vietnam can either protect, cut off, or just fucking blow up if they decide to. For decades, Beijing believed it could quietly dominate these waters, build artificial islands, install missile batteries, push fishing fleets into foreign waters, and then nobody would stop them. In fact, nobody was stopping them. But here's the twist. Instead of backing down, the Philippines and Vietnam are digging in. And now, they're doing it with America's help. In the Philippines, the US is back in force. Not like the sprawling Cold War bases of the 80s. This time it's faster, more flexible, and designed for modern conflict. We're talking rotating forces, stockpiled weapons, shared intelligence, and expanded naval access. The goal isn't to recreate old empires, it's to create a tripwire defense system that forces China to think twice before making a move. And politically, Manila has learned the hard way that Chinese promises of investment come with strings. Often strings are on the neck. The Philippines has decided it's better to bet on Washington's stability, which is crazy in itself, I understand, than Beijing's ambitions. Vietnam, the reluctant but strategic partner. Vietnam is playing it differently. They're not a formal US ally. They're not inviting American troops in full-time, but they are opening the door to deeper defense cooperation, technology sharing, and critically, economic integration. Vietnam understands something a lot of countries don't. Being outside the next big trade network means being irrelevant. That's why Hanoi is cautiously aligning with America's tariff-based economic model, even if they don't say it outright. Tariffs is a strategic weapon, and those tariffs you've heard so much about, they're not just about bringing factories back home. They're about creating a secure supply chain among trusted partners. And you know what? Shutting out anyone who won't play by our rules. For Vietnam, this is an open door. Get in early, and you're not just part of the new American market, you're part of the core network that decides where global trade goes next. For China, it's a nightmare. Every new agreement between Washington and these smaller nations is one less lever Beijing can pull. The Philippines and Vietnam are forcing China into a corner. If Beijing escalates militarily, it risks uniting the region against it and dragging in the US Navy into a fight China isn't ready for. If it does nothing, it loses influence, credibility, and control over the very shipping lanes that keep its economy alive. That doesn't make sense. Either way, China's old playbook, salami slicing territory while the world looks away, is starting to break down. Let's talk about the other players, Russia and India. While the Philippines and Vietnam are moving fast, others are stalling or sabotaging themselves. Russia has basically made itself irrelevant in the Pacific by choice. The war in Ukraine, combined with crushing sanctions, has left Moscow facing a decade, maybe 15, 20 years just to rebuild its economy and military when it finishes war that it may never finish. India is going a different route. It's sitting on the sidelines. It's hesitating to fully commit to America's economic network, which it always has. I mean, if you remember, India was part of the non-aligned group during the Cold War. But here's the next economic order is now forming. By holding back, India is going to risk missing its chance to lock in favorable trade deals and infrastructure investment. And once those supply chains are set, they're not going to move easily. Now, why this matters for you. This isn't just a military chess match. It's the foundation of your economic future. Control over the South China Sea means control over the goods, oil, and rare earths that make modern life possible. If America secures these trade lanes with partners like the Philippines and Vietnam, it can protect its own economy while cutting China out of critical markets. If China somehow gains the upper hand, it gains the power to dictate prices, shipping access, and even political concessions to countries thousands of miles away. Bottom line, the center of gravity in the Pacific is moving south. The Philippines and Vietnam are stepping into roles they've never had before. And in doing so, they're becoming critical to America's ability to contain China without breaking its own budget. For them, it's about survival and opportunity. For China, it's a race against time. And for America, it's proof that even in a so-called retreat from globalism, it can still build a network that shapes the world order, just with fewer players, tighter rules, and far less patience for those who won't commit. Hey, if you found this useful, subscribe to America's Geopolitics. This is Frank. See you next time.